Welcome to the Hot Read. My name is Braden Gall. That is film analyst and expert NFL guru James Foster, brought to you by ML Rose Neighborhood Pub. 7 great locations across Middle Tennessee. James, good to see you, my guy. How are you?
It's been a while. Great to see you, man.
Yeah, we apologize to all you loyal, amazing, and awesome Hot Read listeners. Of course, had a couple of weeks where I was out of town, and so I want to apologize about that. I'm going to throw Jared under the bus here, but really, not. Stillman was scheduled to sit in with you guys next week. Last week, he had a sort of a health emergency with his child, and so all due respect to all of you, we love you, but totally take care of family first. So,
yeah, and I was on the road up to Bloomington, so I didn't really have much flexibility to reschedule with him. But
Bloomington, what are we going to watch? Fernando Mendoza for Titans fans next year?
Hoosiers versus Michigan State.
Number 1 pick in the draft for the Tennessee Titans, replacing Cam Ward, former Cal quarterback, Fernando Mendoza. Anyway, just kidding. We've already done. If you want to hear a conversation about how absurd it is that the Tennessee Titans give up on Cam Ward and draft a quarterback for the 3rd time in 4 years in the first 2 rounds, go check out a football show with myself and Nick Suss. So we got a lot to get to today, James. We're going to discuss the cornerback room, which who knows what it's going to look like. News around L'Jarius Sneed on Thursday afternoon. Obviously, we'll get into linebackers, as I know you're very interested in Cedric Gray's development with Cody Barton as well. I want to ask you what you've seen from JC Latham and his return to the lineup after being injured, and sort of where the offensive line is at in their process and development. And then we've got one game, and be sure to check out all of James's work at his page. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can get to you on YouTube.
Yeah, it's James Foster on YouTube.
Just James Foster on YouTube. And obviously, you can catch his Cam Ward breakdown and his Titans breakdowns right here on the 440 Sports YouTube page. Some positive stuff out of that first half against the Patriots. Some mistakes in the second half, of course, that have been widely covered. But I'm curious if there's any – one of the questions I want to ask you is, Brian Callahan had a philosophy and a strategy. Mike McCoy has a philosophy and a strategy, and I'm curious what the differences are, but more importantly, what is best for – what are the philosophies and strategies an offense should be designing for a player like Cam Ward trying to develop over the course of the next 2 months, which is really the entire goal of the organization now, is to get Cam Ward ready to go for next year, or the new coaching staff, whoever that may be. So a lot of stuff to get to today. We do appreciate you guys for being patient over the last couple of weeks. Again, I apologize about all of that. We got plans coming up for the show we will announce very soon. ML Rose, of course, is our great, amazing local partner. Make sure you check out one of their 7 great locations. SEC Wing Wars on Saturdays. You got 2-for-1 beers and drinks, bloodies, and mimosas on Saturdays and Sundays. They got brunch menus. They're watching soccer matches if you care about all the stuff that's going on with Nashville SC. They got Preds games on. So make sure you go swing by a local ML Rose. They got trivia night all over the place. One of those 7 great locations. So make sure you check them out. Last time you and I talked, James, things were different for the Tennessee Titans. I want to first ask you, because you have not had a chance to comment on this show, at least, and that is just how surprised were you that the move to fire Callahan happened when it did, and that getting rid of a guy 6 games into a rookie quarterback season who was a big part of why the Titans drafted this player. What does it tell you about the decision makers, about Cam Ward, about the organization? What does all that tell you right now?
Yeah, it wasn't surprising, especially once I considered, the fact that they wouldn't ideally want to fire their coach coming off of the Mike Vrabel matchup. I actually think that was pretty sensible. And, I think in general, whenever the Titans have had to make a front office or coaching move in the past few years, it's been a good chance for people to criticize Amy Adams Strunk for, being too quick to make a decision, or too quick to pull the trigger, et cetera. And I think most of the time that has been valid. This time, however, I don't think it's valid to criticize her for moving off of Brian Callahan too early. I think this was appropriate timing. If you want to criticize her for making the hire in the to start out with, that's perfectly fair. But they needed to move on, and I think that it's still not going to be a successful season, but it became pretty clear that was the only way to find any kind of silver lining heading into next year.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with quickly deciding and turning and changing decisions on the firing of Rand Carthon. That one I didn't mind, and I kind of am with you. I think it's obvious that they were going to make a change here. So I agree, don't do it after the Patriots loss. But I am curious because one of the things that Callahan had going for him, because we're going to talk about the Colts matchup today, and I think what's fascinating is that the Colts have kind of persevered through a lot of this kind of conversation around Chris Ballard, and to some extent Shane Steichen. Not really. He's just been largely very good with bad quarterback play in 3 seasons. But they have an identity and patience, and I think a lot of Titans fans were frustrated with identity of this organization for a long time. That's what they were so excited about with Brian Callahan. But Callahan, and I don't know if you've noticed this, and I'd be curious to hear what you think. Coaches who come off of coaching the elites of the elite, Breeze, Rodgers, Brady, Manning, Joe Burrow probably is in that category now. Maybe Josh Allen's going to be in this category. Generally, the coordinators or the position coaches that come off those coaches, those players, and go become head coaches, none of them work. None of them work, right? Andy Reid's like the last great guy to come off a Hall of Fame quarterback staff and then go be a successful head coach. So is there anything about that? Like, the guys who are good at this are like the McVays, who didn't work with an elite quarterback. And so is it just that Joe Burrow masked everything about Brian Callahan that we missed on this? Because the modernization of the Titans organization is what everyone wanted. That's what they got, and it didn't work.
I think it speaks to the difficulty in projecting and isolating coaches from the players that they have. And by taking such a strict results oriented approach to trying to project what coaches are going to do in the future. Obviously, the coaches that coach the best players are going to have the most success, and they're gonna look very good. But it's about the people that are really on the cutting edge schematically, and then being able to identify traits that maybe aren't expressed in their current role, but that will be valuable in a head coaching role, like the whole like leader of men stereotype. But it's like there are like leadership skills that you need as a head coach that you aren't asked to have as an offensive coordinator. So it's a huge like black box, fog of war, or whatever parallel you want to say. Like it's extremely difficult. And I will say that for this upcoming coaching search, if you hear me speaking in absolutes about like this guy's going to be a good head coach, this guy's going to be a bad head coach, spray me with a spray bottle, because I don't think anybody knows like what they're talking about.
No, they don't. I'm curious, when you watch film around the league, who are doing the things that are interesting? And I know you asked me a question. I don't know if you remember this. We had lunch like in the summertime, and you're like, who do you like in college football? And I was like, Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. And now they're 7-0 and they're sitting in the top 10. And I think Buster Faulkner is a guy that's going to get a crack at being an offensive coordinator in the NFL if he wants it. I just think he does a lot of really cool shit. And so the question is, like, because if you look at the guys who have become successful in the NFL at head coaches, they're the guys who are working with sort of like middle of the pack quarterbacks who then turned them into great players, or at least made them play great for a short period of time. And Shanahan, McVay, etc. come to mind. Who are the names that are doing that right now? And I'm not suggesting the Titans should go offense here, but who are the names that have you seen anybody that stands out to you? Like Todd Monken, the Todd Monkens of the world?
Yeah, definitely Clint Kubiak in Seattle. I would say what the Colts are doing, like Shane Steichen isn't poachable, but you're going to see a well-designed offense that knows how to get their best players involved, and they've got a lot of an incredible slate of skill position players that they really know how to highlight in the best possible way. So yeah, I would say Colts and Seahawks have been the two most impressive offenses to me. Maybe throw the Rams in there, like obviously just from a design perspective.
How many wins is that now? Is that 23 wins in 3 years with Daniel Jones, Gardner Minshew, and Anthony Richardson as his quarterbacks?
I think so.
That's impressive stuff from Shane Steichen. Especially when the team, other than Jonathan Taylor and Quentin Nelson, like it's a bunch of like 83s on Madden. Like they're not.
That's a good way to describe them.
They're not, but they're good. Like they draft him as 81s, they develop him to 87s, and then they just are right there doing good stuff. But I think Steichen's very good. So we'll talk about the matchup here coming up in a second. Cam Ward, in the video you have on our page at 440, you kind of talked about the first half versus the second half. Very different, of course. Had some mistakes that are alarming and important to track in the second half. But it sounds like you thought he was making some progress in the first half. And the most impressive throw maybe of the season, you and I talked about the Bucs preseason game. And he made, I don't know if you remember this, but he made this sort of all the way across to the opposite hash. Calvin Ridley's running this deep dig route. He's kind of cutting behind some defenders. He leads him perfectly, sends him, and the ball is just perfectly placed to the outside shoulder. Calvin Ridley kind of slides and catches it. Very similar throw to DK, which you highlighted as one of your favorite throws. Did we see any progress with Mike McCoy? Did we see any progress because it's game 7? Like what? And then the mistakes, we'll get to that. But what did you make of Cam Ward's growth, if any at all, over the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, so I actually, since I was in Bloomington, I was driving back on Sunday, couldn't watch the game live. But I was kind of like seeing what people were saying about it. And people were talking about, Fernando Mendoza at first overall. I was expecting this to be like this awful, disastrous performance. I watched the tape and, obviously I'm experiencing the game chronologically. So I watched the first half. I'm like, what are people talking about? This is like Cam Ward has arrived. And then the second half starts off with the slipperooski, and I'm like, oh god.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah, you almost have to have two different conversations. I mean, that first like play action, rip it over the middle. I think that was probably my favorite throw that he's made all year, and I would love to get more of those play action, max protect, 2-man route concepts for Cam Ward, because I think he has the kind of arm that can where he can execute those at a high level. I think outside of that, I didn't see a ton of different things schematically outside of prioritizing, like you said, players over plays. And you could see a clear intention to get DK the ball, which I definitely agree with. And so I'm excited to see him, continue to increase his role in the offense.
Tyler Lockett parting ways with the team this week. L'Jarius Sneed on IR, so we'll get to that as well coming up in just a second. So no real discernible difference between Mike McCoy's offense or what he wants to do or philosophy than with Brian Callahan. So the question is, you just mentioned one, which is the max protect 2 routes, maybe a third route in the flat on these play action kind of. You don't have to read things. You don't have to go through progressions. It's just make a big play and hope your offensive line holds up when your back is to the defense. What else do you want to see that would help put Cam Ward in the best position to find some success and continue to develop the things he needs to develop, footwork, progressions, throwing the football when he's supposed to, etc.?
Well, they've got to get the fumbling under control, and I've talked about how him rolling out to his left and throwing on the move, is something that he can do at a high level, but a lot of the plays, a lot of the times where the ball slips out of his hands seems to occur when he's making that turn out to his left and then trying to recapture control and like zip it while he's drifting in that direction. So that might be something that you need to kind of take off the table. I think that, in general, to me, the biggest issue with him in this past game was accuracy as opposed to processing. So I think that a lot of the concepts that they're running I actually don't have a major issue with. He's got to start, stop hitting guys out of stride on third down. There were 2.
I mean, Chig is wide open if he just continues the route into the middle of the field.
Yeah. So and they gotta either get on the same wavelength in terms of communication, or if it's an accuracy thing. But it was a lot more of an execution issue last week than a play design issue, in my opinion.
That's how I feel about it. It's his feet. Every time I see him make that throw that goes behind a receiver or a little high, it feels like it's his feet that are out of rhythm or out of place or whatever. So, and the good news about that though is of all the things you can fix on a quarterback, one of the ones that's easiest to fix should be your platform, should be your feet, in theory, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I don't know I don't know that he has the best, incubation, like development situation, but, yeah.
What?
What?
What are you talking about?
Oh,
The Tennessee Titans aren't a premier institution in American football.
yeah, I don't know, man. Everybody that at one point looks good just seems to get worse. So once we start talking about Titans players, that it's like, yeah, he's just got to develop his footwork. It's like, I don't know.
On that note, go to ML Rose, everybody, for a beer this weekend while you're watching any football games. So, what about the offensive line? JC Latham back now for a couple of games, and again, I'm curious. Talk about development. Peter Skoronski seems to have made big strides. You've been very impressed with him through our conversations so far this year. What do you make of JC Latham and where he's at in his second full season now back from injury?
So first week back against Vegas was brutal, and it was bad to the point where it almost made it less concerning about like his ability and more like he came back too early from his injury. And he was just he was kind of giving the corner to Max Crosby uncontested. I think he gave up 3 sacks, 5 pressures, and so yeah, that was a rough performance. The Patriots game, outside of one play, I thought it was a great bounce back game. The thing is, though, the guy he was shutting down is Harold Landry, who, like I've spoken extensively about, had some good production to start out the year, but like he's lost whatever fastball he had. So that's not exactly a Max Crosby level opponent, and I want to see him kind of repeat that against a better competition, obviously. But yeah, I've seen a lot of talk about how JC Latham needs to move to guard, and maybe that could be a valid opinion, but I don't get how you come away with that conclusion from this game at all. I didn't see that. I thought he was perfectly fine.
Do you see him as a tackle long term?
Well, I've said this since he was a college prospect. Like I think that his best position probably is guard long term. But to me, like that's not a revelation that I would have as a takeaway from this game.
Okay. I mean, they're going to have to replace. I mean, they've got so many freaking needs. We'll talk about this with the cornerback room in a second, but like they came into this year with a lot of questions, and all they've done is add to it, which is an unfortunate state of affairs. But they do have to have a replacement for Cushenberry and Zeitler at some point. Zeitler sooner than later. Cushenberry in a year or two. And if you've got one of them there, I suppose not. It's not great that you drafted 2 guards potentially back to back in the top 15, but hey, here we are.
Yeah.
By the way, who's in charge of that? Chad Brinker, by the way.
It's still so much better than drafting a guy that gives you 0 snaps. So I'll take it.
That wasn't who I was comparing it to.
Yeah.
But I get your point. Point taken about J-Rob. 4 snaps though, that's a big deal. 4 snaps in the NFL. That's a long career. Offensive line in general. Any optimism this week against the Colts in terms of the matchup? They got a lot of players in that defensive line. They're not traditionally explosive pass rush types, but they've got a lot of dudes.
Yeah, DeForest Buckner's playing well. They've got, I mean, you kind of said the 83 on Madden thing. It's like, yeah, they got just a rotation of like B to B plus guys that they throw at you. So it'll be a big test for sure.
Okay. No insight into where they're going to find success on the offensive line protecting their franchise quarterback. All right. I know you wanted to talk about the secondary, and I know you wanted to talk about the linebackers, and then we'll talk about the Colts matchup. MO Rose, everybody, 7 great locations. You get wing discount on Saturdays. If you go in there, tell the server, tell your bartender your favorite team. We're counting all the wings eaten by SEC fans in Middle Tennessee. It's kind of a fool's errand, but we're having fun doing it. I think over like 8,000 wings have been eaten so far on Saturdays. You get there's a wing deal in there at ML Rose. If you go 16 wings, you get 8 for free. So go check that out. 2-for-1 beers, mimosas, bloodies on Saturdays and Sundays. Great place to watch your Tennessee Titans on Sundays and your SEC football on Saturdays. You got trivia during the week as well. Lots of good happy hours as well. So, and I've got some inside information that there's some changes coming to the menu that people are going to really enjoy. So just stay tuned for all of your good stuff across the city at ML Rose. L'Jarius Sneed gets put on IR on Thursday, and they've already traded Jarvis Brownlee. Roger McCreary is playing less because of their safety packages. What is going on in the secondary with this team?
Yeah, the secondary is looking so bleak. I mean, first thing is, you know how Mike Vrabel has, like, he'll do his 3 keys to victory that he tells the team every week, you know? Have you heard of that?
Does it
Like,
involve coaching better and playing better?
no, but like, you know
No,
how
I know.
you never heard players talk about how, anyways, Vrabel will lay
Yeah.
out the 3 keys. I was thinking, watching this defensive tape, how many of those 3 keys involved L'Jarius Sneed? I think it was 2 of them. I think the first key was to victory for the Patriots was make L'Jarius Sneed tackle in the run game, and the second key was make L'Jarius Sneed cover. And they started out first drive, we're going to run duo at L'Jarius Sneed, make him tackle 8 yards a pop down the field. And then they were like, all right, now let's make him cover. Gave up a touchdown. The second one that, like PFF charged him with, Denard Wilson said was on the safety, which makes sense. But, gave up several plays, I think, last time that we see L'Jarius Sneed in a Titans jersey. And like, it just,
You think that was the last time we saw him in a Titans jersey?
yeah, probably. And it's so puzzling to me that they would trade Jarvis Brownlee. Not like he's this future All Pro, but he's a fine, starting corner. That, like, I don't know who they think they are, turning their noses up at a starting caliber player. Like, Marcus Harris better be special.
Well, there were, it was more complicated than on the field, obviously. The question is whether or not that's worth the risk, and if the secondary, do you need it or not? I'd be curious to know how much of Brian Callahan was involved in that decision, because as the guy who's no longer the head coach but had to go out there and answer questions for the decision, he kept them all behind. We're going to keep that behind closed doors.
Well, yeah, I mean, if whatever Brian Callahan had to do with the decision, whoever gave him the power to be doing that, knowing that he was probably on his way out, I think they ultimately would bear responsibility.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly correct. So I'd just be curious. I mean, the stories we've heard about Brownlee are not like one of some, this is not some criminal or whatever. But if the guy is refusing to kind of take coaching and get better, which he kind of said publicly, honestly, I understand that maybe that's not the guy you want, but right now you need anybody at that position, right? I mean, what's the future? Like, corner is now a first round projected need for this team.
Yeah, one of many.
You've been looking at prospects. Do you like corner? I don't like receiver in the first round. Do you like corner or edge rusher in the first round if the Titans are trading back, let's say, from 3 to 10, hypothetically?
Oh, well, it would definitely be receiver for me, but if we're taking receiver off the board,
they're not better than the following year. Like, I like Jordan Tyson a lot, but he's not better than Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams or Cam Coleman.
I think they probably need 2 receivers, right? Because DK looks like a starter. Imanor probably a backup. And then
right, but isn't edge just as important, or do you think you should be going all out to supplement Cam Ward as much as possible?
Yeah, definitely. I think you got to fixing the offense needs to be the first priority. And when you've got guys like Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, Carnell Tate, those are all players that are in my top 10. So I would go there for
top 10 overall or top 10 receivers.
Top
you
10
think
overall.
You think Carnell Tate's better than Emeka Egbuka?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, because Carnell Tate's 6'3", with probably like an 80-inch wingspan, and runs way faster, has a massive catch radius, is running like a way more expansive route tree. He's so much more crisp this year.
He is better, that's for sure.
The improvements that he made can't be overstated. And I was a guy that was low on Carnell Tate heading into the year. Like, I thought his tape was extremely underwhelming over the summer, but he's taken a huge step forward. If we're going edge or corner, though, Ruben Bain is my second-ranked player overall, so you can't go wrong there. He's a game wrecker. Keldrick Falk, I have at 9th overall. This is kind of a thin class in terms of blue chip talent, so he's falls into that category of a guy that's gonna go top 10, but you're not thrilled with taking him in the top 10. He's kind of like a Michael Williams type, but he is a little bit better with his hands. And if we're going corner, my top corner is Mansour Delane. but Jermon McCoy is kind of a complicated one with the injury. Like he's, I think, a
Avion
little bit
Terrell.
more physically talented. Avion Terrell is really solid as well. So
I just is Mendoza number 1 overall on your board?
no, Ty Simpson.
Okay, I'm glad I like Ty Simpson a lot. That dude is just
Yeah.
on platform at all times.
As for
talk
quarterbacks,
about Cam Ward's feet,
yeah, I've got Ty Simpson at 1. I've got Dante Moore at 7, and then Fernando Mendoza at 10 overall. So.
Okay, I can get behind that. What I find interesting is not to devolve the conversation into draft talk, but hey, it's where the Titans are, folks. I like Lemon a lot as well. I'd be curious though, like if I could get David Bailey at 24 and then get Lemon at 12. I feel like that's sort of the way to go about this in terms of trading back. But I don't know if there's is there a position that they need if you're going corner, receiver, and edge? Are there positions that you like more in the middle of the first round? Because the receiver class has gotten better as the season's gone along, for sure. But I still don't think like there's a guy who's like a clear cut number 1 elite pass catcher yet.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the receiver class is extremely deep because then you've got Chris Bell, who I think will be a first rounder out of Louisville.
I agree.
Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion. Denzel Boston is Washington. Casey Concepcion is Texas A&M. And then Jeremy Bernard, I think, also will be a second round fringe first round pick. So it's I think that receiver's really deep. I think edge rusher is pretty thin.
Right.
David Bailey is 20th for me, but he's a pure DPR. Not a guy that's going to play early downs probably in the NFL. But I think he is just an outstanding pass rusher, winning a lot more with power this year. But I think that edge kind of thins out in the mid rounds. TJ Parker's been really disappointing out of Clemson.
Yeah, yes. That's my thought is take a receiver in the second round because of the depth. Take your pass rusher in the first round because of the lack of depth. That would be my strategy. But I see where you're going there. I do feel like I like a lot of the same players, so I feel good about myself now. So thanks.
Yeah.
I needed that. ML Rose, everybody. All right, linebacker. What have you seen from this group? And is there a future there? Do you see a future at middle linebacker for this team?
I see a future Bussin' with the Boys co-host in Cody Barton, and a future like Pro Bowl linebacker in Cedric Gray.
Wow, here we go.
So yeah, and he's gonna have the tackle stats because the Titans are so bad. You know how linebackers on bad teams are. Yeah, but like it's what I will say is that with Cedric Gray, it isn't just empty calories. I'm not ever going to be a guy that like sorts by tackles and just says, this guy's got a bunch of tackles. He's playing really well. Like he is on tape, making plays near the line of scrimmage, getting off of blocks, reading things quickly. Can't say enough good things about Cedric Gray in the run game. And like Cody Barton,
tell me more about what, like, give me some more details on what's made him good at that. Why was he not even on the field last year?
Well, I mean, I think that it probably just involved getting stronger, adjusting to NFL physicality, like the amount of true block shedding, like take on responsibilities that you have as a college will compared to what you're asked to do in the NFL to like fight through trash. It takes a while to adjust to that physicality, and I think that's probably the number one thing for linebackers having to adjust to. And then you add on to that the slower you read the game, the easier of angles offensive linemen are going to have to you. And so if you aren't, buttoned up in terms of your processing and you aren't getting from point A to point B quickly, offensive linemen are going to be climbing to the second level. You're going to have even more challenges fighting through blocks. And so the combination of him playing through contact more effectively and then him always taking good early steps, seeming to key the play, be one of the first couple people on the defense to key the play consistently, that allows him to not have to like square up, take on the block, and he can kind of just play the edges of it.
Yeah. All right. I'm just curious. Anything else on the linebacking core you want to add?
Well, I mean, Cody Barton, we don't have to spend too much time on it, but this was like a planning your Cabo trip type of game where, I mean, where it looks like he's planning his Cabo trip like before the play starts. Yeah, I don't know, man. That was truly an awful performance, and I mean, him and Sneed were the two worst defensive players.
So
Yeah.
things are going swimmingly back in town.
The free agent acquisitions from the last two general managers, whoever they are, have been they pretty much struck out consistently.
Yikes. Well, I don't know. Do you trust Chad Brinker and Mike Morganzi right now to hire a coach, to draft
So,
players, to build the roster?
if I'm not mistaken, Chad Brinker is not really like a player acquisition. You know, he's kind of the football operation. So I don't know that I have too many criticisms for him. Mike Borgonzi, I would say that I'm definitely watching him very closely. I'm becoming a little bit skeptical. I'm not saying that I'm like, you know, he deserves, I think, several years to get this turned around, but the early returns are not great.
And what's hilarious is that on paper, he might have the best like win-loss record of anybody that we're talking about here in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Like just meaning like personnel hits, right? Like he made
Right.
a good decision. Picked a good player, picked a good guy, like Femi Oladejo. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, that's a what 52 overall.
Yeah.
Winston, I think Winston is gonna like he got what a couple of snaps this past weekend. I think he's gonna they'll have some more packages for him, and I think he'll be an impressive player. But how many more guys can we say will be good before somebody gets fired? So on top of Callahan, that is. So last one here for you. Well, I guess I want to ask you about the Colts, but I forgot to ask you earlier. How do you feel about a defensive? If you're going to go an established head coach, how do you feel about a defensive head coach with a sort of up and coming rock star coordinator as a strategy for the coaching staff decisions?
So I would definitely prefer, like, ideally, we get a great offensive head coach. But it's kind of like drafting for positional value versus like drafting a really good running back. Where like I'll take the great safety. I'll take Brian Branch or Jahmyr Gibbs over a projected edge. I'll take a really solid like B plus defensive minded head coach over a dart throw at as like an offensive guy.
But guy who's already got like Brian Flores, Vance Joseph,
Right. If you
like
get if you get a slam dunk like up and coming offensive head coach, that's the ideal path. But I'm definitely not as picky as I was maybe the last coaching cycle about where like last time I 100% wanted an offensive minded head coach.
Wasn't Brian Callahan what you're saying?
Right. Yeah.
So
because I was pro hiring Brian Callahan.
Right. And I thought he checked all the boxes that you can possibly check. But like you got Robert Saleh getting tossed around. Brian Flores is a very good defensive mind, been a head coach before, has some drama in his background, but like whatever. And then Vance Joseph, these are guys that could step in and know how to do the job right away. You don't have to teach them how to do the job. And then you go hire your rock star the way Vrabel kind of did, where he was just bringing in a new offensive coordinator every year or every 2 years that was, probably going to go on and be a head coach somewhere. And when I asked you earlier, like who are the rock star names? Like there's not on offense, like what Joe Brady, like who are you going to go hire right now?
Yeah, Joe Brady, I'm not sure about.
I'm only using that as a name that people use. I'm not saying I know any of the who. Like again, I like give me Buster Faulkner.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think that as we once we get a little bit deeper in the season, I'll definitely be able to expand more on kind of the schematic stuff. But I like to save those studies for when there's more than just like a handful of games to go through.
All right, I hear you. Okay, Colts. This is I don't know why I have this weird feeling that Titans are going to play well. It's a 14-point spread. They got destroyed by the Colts earlier. There's no real reason for them to play good football, but it's the NFL. And this is what happens. And so where can the Titans actually take advantage of some opportunity, if anywhere?
Well, I don't see necessarily a lot of advantages for the Titans. I think that, with Jeffrey Simmons out, one of the most dominant parts about the Colts this year has been the interior offensive line with Quentin Nelson and Tanner Bortolini. And so I definitely worry about the Titans holding up in the run game. I think it could be a big day for Jonathan Taylor. And I mean, I don't know who is going to cover these receivers because Roger McCreary is coming off of probably the worst game that I've seen him play. And it doesn't surprise me that, like, after watching the tape, that he's being brought up in trade discussions. But I don't know who's like wanting to trade for him really.
They also have a shit ton of cap space, and they could just—he's a warm body that you're going to need warm bodies.
Yeah, but they don't really seem interested in that sort of approach. So I wouldn't put it past them. Yeah, I don't have a ton of answers for you outside of they aren't like elite at corner, but they've been playing well there.
They aren't elite. They aren't elite at corner.
Yeah,
that is the entire hopes of the Tennessee Titans in week number, what is it, 8? Week number 8?
Yep.
Jesus Christ, we got 11 more to go. God damn it. All right. ML Rose, everybody. Make sure you swing by ML Rose. James Foster, where can everybody catch your work?
Yeah, YouTube, James Foster, Twitter @NoFlagsFilm.
A man of many words, James Foster. You can follow him there. Check out his work. Of course, check out all the other great Titan shows across the network. You got Music City Audible. You got a football show. You got the Paul Karski podcast. You got Stillman and Company. You got SEC Football Live, the Gold Standard, Club and Country covering Nashville SE's playoff run, all kinds of good stuff. So there you go. We do appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks for listening. We do appreciate you. For James, I'm Braden. Thanks for listening. We are back on schedule, and stay tuned. We might have some news about the show coming up soon. So thanks for listening. Thumbs up, notifications turned on, 5-star reviews. If you do not give us 5 stars, you are a hater. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the weekend if you can. We'll talk to you next time.